Even before pressing record, I'm already crying from putting together my notes for this episode. Um, I wanted to make sure that when I say I'm doing unfiltered and it's unfiltered Tiff style, it's got to be at like a whole nother level because I'm always unfiltered, right? And I was just thinking of Shannon Doherty and 90210 Shannon. I mean, so much more than that, but for those of you where that name didn't ring a bell right away, I was just thinking, like, God forbid I was ever in her position. And what would I podcast on? Because she created a podcast and when she didn't have much life left and certainly didn't have that much left to give. And what would I share with you? What would I share with my posse around business, around money, around life? That's coming from a space of rawness and truth. That if you make a choice to really hear me on this and apply it, there is no way your life can't change for the better. The abundance can't flow in on a level that is even beyond your current imagination. I promise to also make you laugh in this episode, but I'm just emotional thinking like the legacy that we leave is often by the wisdom that we share and the memories that we make with people. And my hope on this show is to always be a form of what you need at any given time. And that no matter what your fucking circumstances, that you get to have the life that you desire and deserve, that you're the most exceptional project of your life. There is no one coming to rescue you. There is no one coming to do it for you. It's up to you. That's the hard part, is that it's up to you and it's all on you. But it's also the most rewarding and fucking empowering part because it's something that no one can ever take away from you.
If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it.
What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop tearing up for this episode, and I keep pausing. And it is what it is. This is unfiltered, so you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. A lot of stuff has come up. I've lost a lot of people in my life, and I didn't have that many fucking people to begin with. I lost my dear friend and mentor of many years, Dr. Alex Kadabi, suddenly, quickly, last November. My father died, diagnosed with esophageal cancer that spread to his pancreas and stomach. From diagnosis to death, 6 weeks. And that was right before my 25th birthday. And I've also lost a lot of other people that are actually still alive. And some of those are the most painful of all because they're still alive. And I know you fucking get me. They're the people who've done us dirty. They're the people who you thought you knew and wow, you didn't see it. They're the covert narcissists, the sociopaths, the evil that walk amongst us and we can't avoid it. They are people who, because of their own demons, addictions, things that they are choosing to not get help for, or maybe just truly incapable of change, that we had to distance ourselves from, cut ourselves off from, but they still walk around on this earth. Some of those are the most painful, right? Because we know that they're there. And one of mine is my mother. I've been no contact with her for years now. I think 4 years. I don't even know how long. I had to cut that off to save myself. I was drowning. I had to end an engagement with someone who I'm still very close to and completely flip the dynamic of the relationship upside down and do something really unconventional, which is on brand for me, and take away all of the children's fairy tales we were taught about love and all the stuff that we get shoved down our throat with programming from movies to Hallmark cards to different society norms. And if you don't have kids, then, something's wrong with you. You don't have love and nurturing in you. If you aren't married by a certain age, something's wrong with you. If you don't get married at all, then you're going to be like an old maid cat lady and all this crap. I had to throw all of that out the window in order to save myself. I was drowning in someone else's inability or unwillingness to grow. And it's like if you plant something, because I apparently think, I'm a plant mom. I mean, I kind of am. If you watch my Instagram stories, which you need to if you're not, if you found me from TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany, you're going to extra love my Instagram stories, also at Project Me with Tiffany. And I'm sitting at my quiet house right now. And that's where I have all my plants and Leonard the lemon tree and Pommy the pomegranate tree. And yes, I name all of them and talk to all of them. And there is this one beautiful plant, and this plant does not um, thrive unless it is feeling good in its own comfy space. Like if it feels too crowded, it actually starts dying off. And so we had to have like all this room cut around it. And like I didn't want to cut anything away from it, but I had to if I wanted this plant to thrive. And some of you are in those situations right now. It could be a job circumstance, it could be a friend that you've known since middle school, it could be someone you're related to that just absolutely sucks the hell out of your energy. It could be a long-term client. Because as we continue to grow in life, you are going to outgrow other people, especially when you are truly committed to your growth and you're consistently taking actions, and that's important to you. There's no way you can't outgrow people around you. And it can be so painful because you're doing the work and they're watching you do the work, and they're even seeing a lot of the benefits of this work that you've done on yourself. And you're like, come on, this is so good over here. Look what we can have. And you get like obsessed with that, like potential of what could be and what could be for them. And you're a loving person and you want the best for them. And then you expend all this energy trying to convince them, trying to show them, trying to encourage them, even quite frankly, trying to manipulate them, even if it's coming from a good space, even trying to control them. But then all you do is end up having all these energy leakages, and then you end up resentful and exhausted and frustrated and angry. And that person will probably do a lot better if space is cut around it. You will do a lot better if space is cut around it. But that doesn't mean it's not going to feel counterintuitive. Why would I cut someone off? Why would I distance myself from someone in order to grow? In order to even allow them space to feel enough pain where maybe they'll reach a rock bottom and they'll grow. Oof, it's not cute. It's not sexy. really changing your life for the better. And you can change your life for the better at any given moment. Okay. Like I had many different pivotal moments in my life. The moment where I'm like, I decided I wasn't going to follow climbing the ranks as a TV newscaster. People thought I was nuts. There's lines of people that wanted my job. I couldn't do it. It wasn't healthy for me. I was going to have a nervous breakdown live on the air and not be able to um, cause so much damage for any possible career path I wanted. And I knew that, and I was hanging on for a thread. And I don't even think I gave a 2 week notice. I don't remember because I was in such a state at that time. And then I went from being on TV to literally working at a doggy daycare because I only wanted to be around animals. I didn't want to be around people because this is when all the wounds started opening of all the abuse I endured for a large majority of my life at that point, being sex trafficked and abused from ages 11 to 21 years old. And I couldn't stuff it down anymore. And I could only be around animals. And of course, I fantasized what this job would be, that I would be like playing with them, walking them, brushing them. No, my job was cleaning up shit and piss. So I went from being on TV, full glam makeup, everyone knowing me in town, all that kind of stuff, to throwing the first baseball at a baseball game. I mean, granted, listen, I wasn't on like high network. I was in an affiliate station. Wasn't like I was on the Today Show, but still, like I was a celebrity in a smaller, town. And talk about humility. And my point in sharing that with you is not for you to feel bad for me, is that to tell you that deep humility is required, and humbleness, for you to have the life that you want. You're in a spot right now where you're like, I don't want to work for anyone anymore. I want my life back. I want my time back. I want freedom. I want to be able to have the option. I know I need to make more money. I want to be able to do something that's fulfilling, something that excites me every day. I don't want to just work to work. Maybe you're in the process of growing your business, and something isn't working and it feels like it's so hard, and you must be missing something and you're not sure what it is you're doing, and you want to be able to get to another level, but you're not sure how to structure it. And you keep throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, but like nothing's really sticking. You're in any of those pain spots. The humility and being humble is what's going to help you, because you're going, Tiffany, I need help. Like, I know this is an area of expertise of yours, and I'm willing to do whatever it is. I'm willing to get a loan. I'm willing to use PayPal credit. I'm willing to pull back the bow and arrow, pull back the arrow, and temporarily spend more money than I'm making, or make less money, or spend the money I'm bringing in order to shoot ahead, even though I don't want to. But I'm willing to do that because I'm not willing to continue going at it in this way. I see the insanity of this, and making a move, like coming to my 2-day in-person mastermind event. This only happens once a year. It's incredibly special. What happens here is, not only are you learning two of the highest income generating skills there are to learn right now, truly, with expending the least amount of your energy, time, and for what you get in return is wild. How to package your intellectual property, your skills, your talents, and passions into digital products and physical products, so that you can then sell them online to the billions of people online, and then know how to create profitable content so that people are eager and excited to buy those things. You're not just going to be learning that from me and my entire ProjectME dream team, but we're going to show you in real time, in the flesh, in person, how to customize and implement this for you and your business. Because the problem, what you're doing is, you look at other people in your industry, or even someone like me, and you're like, okay, Tiffany's doing this. I'll do a version of this. Oh, this person does this with their emails. Oh, this person does this with this thing. I guess I have to do this. The reason why it's not working, or maybe it's working, but it feels so taxing and exhausting and doesn't feel simple and like fun for you, is because you've not customized it for you. It would be like someone telling me, Tiff, you've got to go run sprints and do burpees in order to like get more fat off your body. Do I believe that probably could work? It probably could, but really not with my new investment that I've made into my health, because I practice what I preach here, right? I just have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to work with the best of the best to get to the bottom of what's causing all of my inflammation, instead of running around like crazy, being bounced to different doctors, trying a little thing here and a little thing there. I've already been doing that, and that's wasted 2 years of my life. And I deserve to feel my best, but I also have to invest in that. And me doing too much high impact activity, for example, is contributing to my inflammation. It's actually the opposite of what I thought and what I was taught for my body makeup, for my unique set of how I operate and my trauma and all these other things. And I'm giving you that as an example, because what you can think you need to do and really convince yourself you need to do, even if you don't want to do it, that makes you really not want to do it. Resist taking action because you think that's the only way, or these are the only two ways, and it doesn't feel good to you. Well, that's not true. In fact, maybe why it's not feeling good is that's not your way. So we're going to help you determine what is your way. You're going to walk away from these 2 days together having more accomplished in your business life, in the abundant side of your life, and truly your money mindset growth, your deeper inner growth than you have had, without a doubt, in the last several years, if not your whole life. And there's plenty of testimonials where people are saying that. And they weren't saying it to me. When people want to give feedback at my live experience, that, like I said, we do it once a year, I'm not the one going around asking people, right? They are giving those on their own accord and not to me. So they're not like trying to please me, I guess is my point. It is selling out really fast, but this is for sure a move. But you've got to be at a space of humility and openness of, I really want this. I want this growth. I want this change. I might feel uncomfortable coming here. Who are the other people that are going to be here? Am I far enough along to be here? All that information is on the page. But if you feel drawn and you feel pulled and you feel a knowing, you need to trust that. Period. End of story. Anytime I've not trusted that and I've stayed in resistance of things I've been pulled to do, I end up paying a bigger price, a bigger price, a bigger price. So go check out the registration page, projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind, in the description here on YouTube at ProjectMe TV. And you can swipe up. It's also the links directly in the show notes on any platform that you're listening to. But this changing your life stuff, it's not cute. It's not always fun. And it's lonely. It can be really lonely. It requires a desire so deep for you to have the life that you want, for you to leave the legacy you want to leave, for you to create what it is you want to create. It's got to be a belief almost to the point of delusion, where it feels delusional. I'm not saying it's delusion, meaning like you're cray for thinking that. I say this all the time, even now with people where you might not think it's safe to say them to. I'm at that point. I don't recommend doing that to start. But I'll say, like, I know I'm going to be offered like an insane podcasting deal from a major network, like tens and tens of millions of dollars. Like, I just know that. And I've let go of the time period. I've let go of any of that. I continue to show up and make millions off my own show and doing all of these things here. But I know like that's coming. Like I can see it, and I keep showing up regardless. And you've seen, I mean, episodes, well over 600 episodes. You have to show up regardless and not be going, well, where's the payoff? Where's the payoff? Where's the payoff? I have a payoff now, but you don't get a payoff on your desired time frame in the beginning. You have to keep showing up until the payoff comes. Then if you want more of the payoff, you have to keep on showing up regardless. So that deep desire, no one can give that to you. As motivating as I can be, as I can look at you and go, and I've said this to people where I'm like, you've got it. I can see it in you. You've got the sauce. And it's not like I run around saying that to just anyone. And I'm thinking of some of the people I've said it to, even though they know that, even though I even said it in person, it didn't matter ultimately because they didn't believe it themselves. It would be like someone saying to me about my book, right? That is still not out, where I hear from so many of you, oh, please put your book out. I can't wait for your book. This book is going to automatically be a bestseller, even though I've had agents contact me, people wanting my book. That none of that, it feels really good. Don't get me wrong. And I appreciate it, but none of that is enough yet because it can't make up for me going, I believe this and I believe it'll be worth the time and effort and the pain and the stuff that's going to come up when I write that book. That's really what I'm resisting. I know it's going to be worth it. I trust that whatever is supposed to happen out of it, the greater good, it's going to be worth it. And I'm not there yet. I'm getting closer and I can feel it. But there's no amount of external sources of someone saying, you can do this. This will work. It's time. It feels good. It's helpful. Don't get me wrong. It can help you get there. But you've got to find that deep desire where you're like, you know what? I have a knowing. I have a knowing I'm meant for more. I have a knowing I can take my business to another level. I have a knowing I can do this. There's enough evidence of enough people out there from all different circumstances with all these odds stacked against them that if they can do it, so can I. And that's why I share my shit also with you guys and how messy it is up in my brain so that okay, like if Tiffany was able to do this and she is not someone who has sunshine boosting out of her ass, she's not some extreme extrovert, someone with all these connections, someone who's always like hyper focused and on it and super disciplined and high energy. I'm none of those things. I'm really not. I'm none of those things. But what I am is someone where I refuse to be trapped by any person, place, thing, job, circumstances, clients ever for what it is I want to do in my life, whether it's donating money to build safe houses for women and children who've been sex trafficked, whether it's donating money to animal rescues, whether it's me taking a last minute trip, a $55,000 European trip because I want to. And if I want to leave tomorrow on another one, I can. I can buy the bag if I want to buy the bag. I can remodel the house if I want to buy the house. I can go and live in Paris for 3 months if I want to. I can take 3 months off if I want to I can do nothing if I really want to do that. And no one can take it away from me. Nobody, because I've set it up that way. And that's my deeper motivation that gets me into the daily decision to show up, whether I feel like it or not. And fun fact, 70% of the time, at least, you're not going to feel like it. I don't care whose life you have. You can look at people who you admire, famous actors. You can look at people who are even billionaires. I mean, I've had the privilege of being in meetings, working for these companies, interviewing these people. We're all human beings at the end of the day. And what motivates each one of us is so different. But the people who keep going, even though they've gotten all the rejections, where they've gotten the pitfalls, where they've had deaths in their life, where they've been thrown off course, but then they keep going, it's that deeper guttural desire. And to have what it is you really want. For me, it's freedom. It's the opposite of feeling trapped, controlled, and confined, because that's how I felt in childhood. And then what further motivates me is to help as many people as possible not feel trapped and feel free in their own lives. However, that looks for you. How it looks for you could be very different than how it looks for me. There is nothing that gets me more fired up than that. That's why I always joke when someone says stuff to me like, well, I'm going to have to ask my husband, and I don't know if he's going to, allow me to go to your 2-day event. I don't know if he's going to allow me to be in your posse membership. And it's like, wait a second. You're telling me that you're wanting something so badly that's only going to better the overall family and yourself. And this is a dream of yours. And this is not some frivolous thing. This is something with a very clear ROI that's also, fun fact, tax deductible. And the person you're partnered with isn't supportive of that and isn't trusting you of that. That's trapped to me. And they fucking know it. And you fucking know it if you're one of those people in that situation, or you have been. Hells no. Hells no. Not approved over here. You can't allow anybody in your life, whether it's their opinion of you, their judgment of you, your fear of what they may do or may not do, whether you share a bank account with them or not. You cannot allow someone else to dictate or control the growth in your life. And if you're with someone who is not supporting your growth, they're contributing to you being miserable and stuck and in a spot that very little light can shine out of. But that's still on you to not be around that. That's your responsibility. No one's coming. I don't know any person that has that kind of success in life. And I don't just mean money, I mean happiness and delight and freedom. I don't know anyone who is in that spot, myself included, who is waited for someone to give it to them, waited for the magical partner, waited for the magical job, waited for the manifestation, waited for to go viral, waited to win the lotto. It doesn't work like that. You've got to be taking those actions that feel scary, even terrifying, even counterintuitive. They might even feel, based on your programming, irresponsible, silly. I mean, everyone pretty much thought I lost my mind starting a podcast, that it was a silly little hobby. Not everyone, but almost everyone. Funny how some of those people have podcasts now. Funny how some of those people try to pick my brain, of course, for free, which is not approved, of, well, what did you do? Like, what do you use for this? What do you use for this? How do you do this? Isn't that interesting? My mentor, who I mentioned, died last year, Dr. Alex Kadavi. And I say it in present tense that he's still my mentor because of the lessons that he taught me. And I speak to him just like I speak to my dad, right? Like the lessons he taught me and the guidance he still gives me. One of the things that he would say, and he was very brash in how he said things. Is brash a word? It was like like even harsh, I would say at times. But I knew his heart, so I could take it in. And he definitely made me cry a couple times. And when I would come in there and talk to him in my 20s, early 30s, and I would be like complaining, and this is so hard, I'm not happy about this. And he was like, then change it, then do something about it, then make a move. You don't like where you're at, then change it. You get to change it. And it would like kind of shock me out of where I was at. Like I was kind of like in this, giving myself all this trapped language. Like I was in this cage, and he would go, here you go. Here's the key. Let yourself out. And it's like when you put yourself in that cage and all those thoughts are swirling around in your mind and then they become beliefs, you're trapping yourself. And I've done it. And then he hands me the key. Well, then get out if you don't like it. And it's like, oh my God, that's right. I have the power to get out. We forget because maybe we're around toxic people who are gaslighting us. Maybe we're gaslighting ourselves. Maybe we're so afraid of making a big move and making a big change and doing something bold and doing something different and doing something vulnerable that we convince ourselves it's going to be so hard and it's going to be so much and it's going to cost so much money and it's going to be so exhausting and it's going to be so this. So we just pile on all this weight on it that we end up suffocating our energy around it and truly keeping ourselves in the cage with those beliefs, with those thoughts. And the truth is, it gets to be simple, it gets to be fun. It's not always easy. I try to be careful using that word. It's more of that it's simple and it also gets to be fun and it gets to be light and it gets to be rewarding, but it does also get to be easier than you imagine. And I do feel that's fair for me to say that because I'm someone who can make a lot of things seem hard or feel hard to myself. Look what I do with the book. Oh my gosh, I'm just going to have to sit in front of a laptop for hours and be so disciplined. And then all of my shit's going to come up and I'm going to have to relive a lot of these triggering memories and da, 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 da. Well, is any of that serving me? Is any of that propelling me into motion to doing the thing? Instead, I want you to ask yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I make this more fun? How can I shorten the duration of time this is going to take? How can I do this without expending all of my energy? Ask yourself a different question. And when you do that, you get very different answers. One major shortcut is by coming to my 2-day live event. That is a shortcut. We are cutting off all this time of you wondering, guessing, how do I do this? What am I missing here? And we're solving that in a short period of time. Do you still need to leave there and execute on what we've done? Of course. Yes, that part's on you. But now you at least know the exact path you're going on, that you aren't zigzagging all around or going in some maze that feels never ending to you. When you know, and you've got kind of like marching orders for yourself, I have to focus on this, this, and this, and put blinders on for the rest. Just this, and this, and this, and this, blinders on for the rest. There's no way you can't be successful, especially when you have the support. And as long as I keep showing up, yes, some people can have success earlier out of the gate. Some people, it happens later. Some people have success out of the gate, then sabotage all of it or lose all of it and never find it again. We have to be very careful when comparing ourselves on their journey. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of fellow physicians. He's a well-known dermatologist, well-known physicians. He was a real estate mogul, amazing in the stock market. There are a lot of people, I'm sure, family members that compared themselves to Dr. Alex Kadavi. I remember at one point I did too. He wasn't that much older than me. I was like, oh, if I was only as smart as him, if I only had as much energy as him. Well, he's fucking dead now. And this is a man who had all the resources, all the doctors' connections at the best hospitals in the world and had all the money and had tons of support, and he's dead. And this is not someone who was predisposed. I won't give away all the details, but he wasn't predisposed to what he died from. Okay. There wasn't like all this family history of that, or that his lifestyle was like toxic and contributed. Okay. If anything, his stress contributed to that. My dad's dead, like my dad died later in life, but still pretty young. You don't know what's going to happen. Look at Shannon Doherty. You have no idea. And I'm not like, I'm giving dramatic examples, but you have no idea. I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to not share this quick story about a client that I'll never forget. And not that I forget any of my clients, but there's certain stories that really stick to me. And she was so upset because she was, she didn't follow her dreams in her 20s. She didn't follow them in her 30s. She didn't follow them even in her 40s. And she was so mad at herself for that, that was keeping her in the cage. What an idiot. I should have done it then. I should have done it when I had more energy, when I had youth on my side. I wasted all this time, blah, 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 blah. And now she was in at that time, her early 50s, and she felt more trapped than ever because she was in a marriage where she depended on him. He wrote, like, he paid every bill, all the things. And a lot of people on the outside and even her family was very envious, even jealous of her because she had quote unquote the rich husband. She was the quintessential like housewife, right? And they wanted that life and what they perceived that life to be. Well, this motherfucker had been cheating on her for 10 years and had another child. I think it was one child with this other woman who had a full house he paid for in another state. Or this woman she had no fucking idea. He traveled a ton for work. Obviously, a guy was a master liar. And maybe there were signs and she didn't want to see it. And I said, but if you had done this sooner, you would have gotten screwed in the divorce. This was supposed to happen in this timing. You certainly wouldn't have gotten the alimony that you've gotten now. And even though I know you're like, this alimony clock is like running out and I should have gotten more. Well, you would have gotten a lot less if you had started your business during the marriage and then had independence of income. And I'm not telling any of you guys, oh, I should wait until I'm divorced to start my business. My point is, it happened for her at the right time. It happened now at a right time. She also has a lesson that she has learned and a story to tell that is going to be able to help so many people. And her deeper desire for doing what she's doing to get her to show up regardless is on a whole nother level because of what's happened, because she will never put herself in a position where she is dependent like that on someone else ever again. You see what I mean? So you've got to show up regardless, knowing your time is coming, but not stopping short of when that time is. We don't know when that is for any one of us. And I get frustrated. I get discouraged too. But this is also why I have coaches. I have a therapist. I make sure I invest in putting myself in rooms and around people and situations and support so that I keep showing up regardless. So I don't give up. So I stretch. So I grow. So I push myself. And the last thing I want to say, which might be the most important, but it's also the most painful, is the loneliness part. You know that expression, it's lonely at the top? It's not just the top as like, oh, I'm a multimillionaire top. I'm talking like healing and growth and being awake and having a spiritual awakening and being emotionally aware and intelligent and open. You grow at that level, you're going to have a much lower tolerance for people's manipulations, people's bullshit, people's excuses, when people's words and actions don't match, people wasting your precious time because they don't value their own, people not respecting your boundaries, other people who choose to have very little boundaries. You're not going to have an appetite for it or a tolerance for it. And then that creates a feeling of loneliness. Your circle gets very, very small. And that can sound not great to some of you. But the people who are in that small circle are fucking primo. Wouldn't you rather have, let's just say it's an orange tree. Wouldn't you rather have an orange tree that maybe only produces like I don't know, 6, 7 oranges at a time versus, I mean, if you've seen some of these orange trees in Florida or here in Southern California, I mean, some of these trees have like 100 on them. Or would you rather have it produce 100 that don't really taste that great? They're pretty bland. They don't taste like much, or ones that have 8 or 10, maybe even 5 that are the best fucking oranges you've ever tasted. And you know, every time you go to pick one off, it's going to be at that level. And then when you share that orange with someone or you make something with that orange, people are like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is the best orange I ever had. And then you get to experience that feeling of abundance. I would rather have that. That's Leonard the lemon tree. You know, he doesn't produce that many lemons, but the ones he does, you could probably just dilute that lemon juice just a little bit and have something that tastes like lemonade. It's that good. That's what it's like. But you have to be willing to cut the people off, to distance yourself, to set the boundaries, to adhere to the boundaries. You have to be willing for people to not like you because they're not willing to look at their own shit and they're not willing to own their part in their own stuff. It's easier for them to say, oh, Tiffany got so big and Tiffany is like famous now. So she doesn't give a shit about anybody anymore. That's easier for someone to say that. Oh, now that so and so's divorced and now they're living the single life, at like 40 years old, they don't like, they don't want anything to do with anyone who's married. Like people are nuts. They come up, or someone's like really lost weight, or they've found a connection to spirit and source that they haven't had before. Oh, so and so's really gone off the deep end, man. They're doing plant medicine in Costa Rica. And you know what? Maybe they have kind of gone a little cuckoo. If they're happy, that's none of your damn business. They're happy and not hurting anyone else. It's really none of your business. What's crazy is that there is literally this last week, a story went viral. I'm like, why is this going viral? Of a woman who's married who wanted to go and reconnect with her Greek roots and take a solo trip, a solo pilgrimage to Greece on her own, even though she's married. And her husband was 1,000% supportive. This story made it to like the fucking Today Show. I'm talking went mega viral. You may have seen it, where people were aghast that if she's going on a pilgrimage and if she had a really good marriage, wouldn't she want her husband there? And they couldn't comprehend that this woman was going to go and travel solo and do this on her own for herself, which is the ProjectME life, which is why I named this brand and this podcast ProjectME. You're your most exceptional project of your life. If the people in your life don't support you for wanting to do some things solo, needing to do things for your soul, wanting to do something that sounds like a silly little hobby, like a podcast, or starting a business when your last 5 businesses didn't work, but this is your thing. You're wanting to write a book and you have no idea if anyone's going to read it. You want to share stuff on social media. And, if someone isn't supportive of that, then you've got to be willing to do it anyway and not care. It's like there are lots of people who don't support some of the things that I do still. And what's funny is they watch all my shit. They probably are listening right now. And it triggers people like that viral story because there's so many people who don't give themselves the permission or haven't created a life where they have the freedom or they feel like they have the freedom to let themselves out of the goddamn cage. You have the key to get out of the cage. And then you have people like me who can help you get to where you want to go faster and easier and with more fun. But you have to be willing to show up regardless. All of this abundance is here for you. There's so much evidence. You may have forgotten that you have the key. And you also have to be willing, if you want to change your life, you've got to do quite a few uncomfortable, vulnerable, scary, counterintuitive things. And it is so worth it. You are going to upset people. People aren't going to get it. Then they are not meant to continue on that growth path with you. And sometimes you'll meet up with these people again later. They'll catch up in their own timeline. We're all on different timelines. I mean, what's at stake for you to continue to kind of play it safe, hold it back, like, oh, business is doing well, but it's not really what I want. Or, well, I have it good enough. I should just be grateful where I'm at. That's toxic gratitude. Wouldn't you rather be in a spot in your life that, God forbid, you end up in a situation like Shannon Doherty or like my mentor, Alex, and you can go, no one can tell me, and I can't tell myself that I didn't fucking go for it and keep going for it. And that peace and that legacy that you leave for the people around you, your children, people you care about, strangers. I know that I am that example for millions and millions of strangers going, if this bitch who's unwell in the mind, who had no self-worth, who has complex PTSD, who has no fucking family, was able to do the hard things, the uncomfortable things, the scary things, and keep showing up. And what's on the other side is so beautiful. It's all here for you. And while you may feel alone, you don't have to do this alone. Take my hand. You have the support. You have the guidance. You have the dependable people right here. Start by coming to my 2-day in-person event and allow the magic to unfold for you. Allow the universe to delight you, because what happens is you take that uncomfortable action and do the scary thing. The abundance that's waiting for you on the other side is remarkable. And we've watched it happen year after year. And it's undeniable in the testimonials from the people who've come. So go to projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind. It's in my link in bio on Instagram and TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany. Also, of course, in the show notes here and in the description here on Project Me TV on YouTube. And then we have our summer sale still going on inside my famous Project Me Posse business coaching membership, where you sign up for the annual option. You get 2 months for free and my Nail Your Niche Masterclass, which is worth well over $500. Plus, you get my content creation made easy course bundle as well. A lot of people do both. So there's quite a few Posse members that are coming to the live event. Again, it's only once a year. As of right now, we're over 30% sold out. We'd love to have you at the beach, where you get to be in a beautifully abundant setting around real people, no one being performative, shoes off, feet in the sand, really getting that clarity and that conviction of where it is you want to go and how to get there. Because the more fun we have, the more money we make. This doesn't need to happen in a sterile classroom or, in a hotel conference room. In fact, you speed up the energy of your abundance when you surround yourself with abundance, not when you're avoiding it or not when you're waiting to relish in it until you've reached a certain point. You become a magnet for it when you plant yourself right down in the center of it. So I hope you come join us. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.